Welcome back to The Deep Dive. It's January, and the mid-season movement window is, well, it's delivering pure chaos.
It really is.
But we're not here for the rumors. We're tearing into the source material to find the cold, hard, strategic decisions being made right now. Is it tactical genius, or is it, just glorified panic buying?
Exactly. We've sifted through, a mountain of source material today. Everything from multi-million euro transfer packages to coaching volatility and these really tense negotiation standoffs across like 3 continents.
Wow.
So our mission for you, the listener, is to go beyond the headlines and really extract the strategic implications. These sources, they just scream urgency.
Right.
Clubs are being forced to pivot instantly. It could be injury crises, title pressure, or just the sheer volatility of, say, a promotion race. We're looking at where these quick fixes collide with long-term calculated bets.
Okay, let's unpack this. And where better to start than with a title contender showing, some real signs of stress.
Yeah.
Manchester City is usually this perfect machine, but the sources are painting a picture of a sudden emergency.
It's a classic case of crisis management completely overriding long-term planning. And the stakes could not be higher.
So what happened?
Well, that recent draw against Chelsea has suddenly left their defense dangerously exposed. You've got 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗏 and Ruben Dias both picking up injuries in that game.
And John Stones was already out, right?
John Stones was already sidelined. So that's an immediate critical gap in a title race that's decided by the tiniest of margins.
But is there a real difference between crisis management and just panic spending, especially when you're forced to act within, 48 hours, knowing a title hinges on it?
That's $1 million question.
The sources show City moving hard for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi, the 25-year-old England center back.
And that move for Guehi, it's highly significant, and it's mainly because of the economics.
Right, the January attack.
Exactly. Domestic English talent comes at a massive premium, and it's often inflated during this window. So City is signaling they're prepared to overpay mid-season for that Premier League proven quality. The sources confirm the club is waiting on the full injury assessment of Dias and 𝗔𝗏𝗄𝗏, but if those injuries are long-term, well, Guehi's price tag is a calculated overspend to secure that eventual title bonus. It shows a bit of a lack of confidence in their immediate internal depth.
And while that big money move is being prepared, they still have to plug the immediate hole.
Right now, yeah.
Which is why we saw the recall of that 20-year-old academy defender Max Allen from his loan at Watford.
Correct. The loan was cut short after only 17 appearances for the Hornets. And the sheer speed of this move, it really illustrates the desperation.
So he could be playing right away.
He could potentially be involved in the matchday squad for Wednesday's Premier League game against Brighton. They are pulling a high-potential player out of crucial development time just to serve as an immediate bench body.
That's a huge trade-off.
It is. It shows the severity of the crisis. And for a bit of trivia, for those curious, his father is former England cricketer Mark Allen.
That's fascinating. So they're fixing the hole in defense while at the same time bolstering the attack. It's almost the opposite scenario on offense, isn't it?
It is.
City's moving swiftly to beat a massive financial deadline. Here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about crisis management. It's about how clubs manage risk and, contractual timing.
Oh, the Antoine Semenyo acquisition is a textbook example of leveraging contract structure. Just perfect.
So the Bournemouth winger is scheduled for a Manchester City medical on Thursday.
Yep.
And the crucial detail here, the thing that defines the urgency, is the money. His £65 million release clause, it runs out very, very soon, on January 10th.
Right. So if they miss that date, they are thrown back into a potentially protracted, expensive, and very public negotiation with Bournemouth.
Not what you want.
Not at all. So by forcing the medical and the paperwork through before that deadline, City turns this complex negotiation into just a clean, hard transaction. It removes all the uncertainty, locks in the price tag.
And the pressure that puts on the selling club, Bournemouth, must be immense.
Oh, it's huge. They have to quickly accept the loss of a star player who is likely playing his final game for them against Tottenham on Wednesday, while City's already finalizing the deal. It's financial execution at warp speed.
Confirming the price, not negotiating it.
Exactly.
And that kind of urgency, it spills over perfectly into the volatile world of management. I think the underlying thread here is that the higher the stakes, whether you're chasing a title or avoiding relegation, the shorter the leash is for everyone.
Players and managers, yeah.
We have a really dramatic case study in the sources.
Yeah.
The roller coaster career of 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
What's fascinating here is the sheer velocity of his highs and lows. I mean, we all remember his incredible high point at Ajax, right?
The Champions League run.
Bringing them to the 2018-2019 Champions League semifinals, winning the domestic double. He was like football royalty.
Then the fall started. Dismissed from Manchester United with a full season left on his 3-year deal. But the shocking low came at Bayer Leverkusen.
He signed a contract there and was subsequently sacked after only 2 league matches.
2 matches.
Just 2. That is a brutal and historic statistic. It is officially the fastest dismissal in Bundesliga history. It's just a harsh lesson in how the smallest deviation from a club's expectation can end a career instantly.
When you look at his history, Ajax success, Man U failure, that Leverkusen firing, does this signal a systemic issue with how clubs manage managerial genius? Or is it just the cost of volatility in top-tier football?
I think it's the cost of volatility, but the good news for Ten Hag is that the sources show his rapid return to stability. He's going back to his roots.
Right, he's heading back to FC Twente,
where he started his career as a player and began his whole coaching journey.
And crucially, he's returning not as a manager, but as technical director. He signed a deal from February 1st until summer 2028. That switch from high-pressure daily coaching to a strategic director role is absolutely massive.
Yeah, let's clarify that role shift, because it's important. As a manager, Ten Hag was focused on tactics, team selection, the next 90 minutes. It's high pressure, high risk. As technical director, he shifts his focus to the long-term structural health of the club, recruitment strategy, youth development pathways, overseeing coaching appointments. He's replacing the retiring Jan Streuer.
So it gives him breathing room.
It gives him breathing room and long-term security. He's replacing that daily demand for immediate results with a strategic focus on the foundations.
That structural security seems to be the key takeaway, and it allows him to connect with his history. He even said, "I think it's wonderful and special to return to FC Twente, where I've been a supporter at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 since I was a young boy."
And that emotional connection is so vital for stability. Meanwhile, another key managerial shift is happening in France, and it's linked directly to this concept of integrated multi-club ownership.
Oh yes, RC Strasbourg. They've agreed a deal in principle to appoint Gary O'Neill as their new head coach.
This immediately connects to the broader ownership structure. O'Neill replaces Lime Rowe Sr., who just signed for Chelsea.
Right.
The sources confirm that Blue Co., which owns both Chelsea and Strasbourg, picked O'Neill. A long-term contract has already been agreed upon. It just emphasizes this whole multi-club model at play.
So the move isn't just about what Strasbourg needs right now.
No.
It's about testing a specific candidate within that corporate network.
Precisely. O'Neill is likely viewed as a promising, low-risk candidate who can implement the shared footballing philosophy across the group. It could be preparing him for a higher-stakes role within the Bluecom portfolio down the line. It's an internal promotion disguised as a standard managerial hire.
Absolutely. Okay, moving from coaching drama to negotiation specifics, we have to talk about how clubs are using contract clauses to manage risk, especially when the selling and buying clubs have fundamentally different ideas about a player's value.
This raises a really important question about conditional deals versus outright sales. And the Botafogo versus Torino negotiation over David Ricardo is the perfect illustration of that risk valuation.
Let's break down the offers, because the difference in philosophy is just so stark.
So Torino's offer was structured to mitigate their risk completely. A €1 million loan fee.
Okay.
Plus a €6 million obligation to buy, but, and this is the big but, only if the player featured in 10 matches.
That conditional clause is the deal breaker, isn't it?
Totally. If the player doesn't integrate or gets injured, Torino saves €6 million, and Botafogo has basically subsidized the player's performance validation for a year. The clause minimizes risk for the buyer and shifts it all to the seller.
And Botafogo just rejected that outright?
They did. Their counteroffer demands guaranteed money. They're focusing on maximizing the sale price based on potential, not performance thresholds.
What's their number?
They only accept a direct sale.
Yeah.
They're asking for €8 million up front, plus a €1 million bonus contingent on goals. So it's a deal that could reach $9 million.
Wow.
Botafogo needs capital now, and they believe strongly in their player. They're demanding that guaranteed money, forcing Torino to take all the risk or walk away entirely.
If we connect this to the bigger picture in Europe, we see clubs moving quickly to lock down players without these complex clauses. Lazio, for instance, is reinforcing Maurizio Sarri's attacking options, finalizing Peter Ratkov, the Serbian striker from Red Bull Salzburg, for 13 million euros.
That's a clean, decisive transaction. And we're also seeing a huge high-value package heading to the Turkish league, which is a massive signal of intent.
You're talking about Mattéo Guendouzi.
Exactly. He has a verbal agreement in place to join Fenerbahce.
That 29 million euro package, including add-ons, is huge. What does that kind of spending signal for a non-traditional European powerhouse?
That kind of money signifies a serious intent to compete, both domestically and internationally. For Fenerbahce, this is a massive investment in a single player. It signals a shift in Turkish league spending and a real effort to close the gap on the established European elite.
And that deal is moving fast.
The paperwork is being drafted right now. The player has already agreed terms. It's happening.
Meanwhile, one of the biggest stars in the world, Harry Kane, is seeing his contract discussed in Germany.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich is reportedly looking to extend his contract, which currently has a 60 million euro release clause, according to ESPN.
This shows that Bayern isn't just focused on this season. They are cementing their centerpiece for the long term. They didn't just buy Kane for one season. They bought him as the foundation of their attack for years to come. Talks are in place for an extension that could run until 2028 or even 2029. This is future-proofing at the absolute top tier, making sure no rival can leverage that potential 60 million clause to poach their star striker next summer.
Future-proofing, but also grabbing a momentary advantage in the race for promotion. We have to swing down to the championship.
Let's do it.
Coventry City, managed by Frank Lampard, is making a serious push for the Premier League.
They are. They're currently 6 points clear at the top, bidding for a return to the Premier League for the first time in, 25 years?
25 years. This is where strategic loan moves become absolutely crucial, right? For plugging gaps without a massive financial commitment.
Oh, for sure.
And their first January signing is South Korea international winger Yang Min-hyuk, a 19-year-old coming in on loan from Tottenham for the rest of the campaign.
The strategic value here is the low financial risk and the high upside reward. Instead of buying a proven championship player, which is expensive, they're leveraging an established pipeline for high-potential talent.
And he knows the English system.
He's already comfortable. He's spent time on loan at Portsmouth and QPR. But the deciding factor for Yang, according to his quote, was the clarity from the head coach.
So Lampard had a clear plan for him.
Lampard specifically outlined how he plans to use him. And for young talent, that's everything. They prioritize development and guaranteed minutes over pure club prestige.
And finally, let's look across the Atlantic to the MLS, where the unique financial structures, like the designated player rule, always add a layer of intrigue.
They do. Houston Dynamo is using their designated player or DP slot to try and land Mateusz Bogusz, the 24-year-old Polish attacking midfielder from Cruz Azul. They've submitted their first formal bid.
The DP rule is so vital for understanding MLS strategy. What does pursuing Bogusz as a designated player really signal for Houston?
It signals high-impact intent. The DP rule lets MLS clubs sign up to 3 players whose salaries exceed the league's maximum budget charge. By using this for Bogusz, Houston is confirming that despite his modest stats this season, 1 goal, 1 assist, they view him as a centerpiece.
A high-value asset.
A high-value asset that justifies that massive financial commitment.
And he's well-known in the U.S. system, right? He played for LAFC.
He did. And despite links to Celtic, Chicago Fire, and Club America, the sources indicate he appears close to returning to the U.S. The MLS structure, particularly the ability to offer those star-level contracts via the DP slot, continues to attract and pull in high-quality international talent.
So we've executed a true deep dive here. We've covered a massive strategic spectrum, from the dramatic rebirth of Erik ten Hag as a long-term technical director to a decisive 29 million euro package for Guendouzi in Turkey, and the critical role of these targeted loan deals driving a promotion race.
So what does this all mean? I think this January window is defined equally by immediate reaction, the injury crisis at City forcing their hand, and by long-term strategic positioning. We see that in the DP bids and the urgency of extending Harry Kane until 2029. The movement you see, even when it looks chaotic, it's driven by market deadlines and calculated risk assessment.
And it all comes back to that risk assessment. If you look back at that Botafogo versus Torino negotiation, the seller demanding outright cash, the buyer demanding that 10-match conditional clause, What is the true power dynamic there?
That's a great question.
Does a low-risk 10-game obligation threshold really favor the buying club Torino more than the high-risk guaranteed cash sale favors the seller 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and this incredibly pressurized January market? It's something worth mulling over as the final weeks of the window unfold.